Hello, we're doing Chapter 5, Section 5, Complex Numbers. And these problems are the guided practice problems, which are very, very similar to the examples, which are very similar to the homework problems, which are very similar to the practice worksheet problems, which, you guessed it, are going to be very similar to the problems that are going to be on the formative and summative assessment. So this is where I get to practice some problems that you're going to be seeing. Sorry, I got the hiccups. All right, we're going to express each of these numbers in terms of I. So I've got negatives under each of the radicals. That's going to be -1 times 100. So I'm going to take the square root of -1 and get I, and then I'll take the square root of 100. So the 5 is here. The square root of -1 is I, and the square root of 100 equals 10. 5 times 10 is 50. Square root of -1 is I, so that is just 50I. To simplify this, or to I guess simplifying isn't the right word I want to use, but to express this using I have to take the square root of 100 and get 10, and I get 50 times I. Okay? Just like that problem, I've got this problem where I've got something times a radical of a negative number. So I got 1/2 times the square root of -1 again, times the square root of 16. The square root of 16 is 4. 1/2 times 4, or 1/2 of 4, is 2. So this is just 2I. I is the square root of -1. Now for this problem, I'm not going to end up with a perfect square. 100, 16, and even 144, those are perfect squares. This one I'm going to have to simplify using section 1-3 in chapter 1 when we learned about square roots. So let's break it into parts. The negative sign in front of it is -1. Where's my marker at? -1. The square root of -32 is the square root of -1 times the square root of 16 times the square root of 2. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this video talking about how I got 16 times 2. That's that section. 16 is the largest perfect square that is a factor of 32. So that's what I brought out and multiplied 16 times 2 to get 32. -1 means the whole thing is going to be negative. 16, the square root of 16 is 4, so I'm going to get -4. The square root of -1 is I, and the square root of 2 is just the square root of 2. And if you remember from the previous video, we talk about the constant at the beginning, then we show I, and then we have the radical. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say constant, I meant coefficient. It's the CO words that threw me off. And that's the order that we write them in. All right, square root of -144. This is the square root of -1 times the square root of 144. I know my perfect squares, and I know that that is 12. So this is just 12I. All right, good luck with those. We'll see you in the next video.